Hey guys, I just wanted to say hi and tell you guys how much I love you, and I wanted to give you guys a little update on my recovery. So it's been about a year, a little over a year now since the initial car accident, and just so much has happened. So much has happened, and um, I so I made notes because there's so many things that I want to say, and I want to be able to remember the things that I want to share with you. I think the biggest thing was for so long. It took a good 6 months or more just to be able to diagnose everything that was happening. And I just want to thank you guys so much for all of your prayers and positive energy and help in that time. And we were able to finally get a good handle and understand what's been happening. When the diagnosis, the big one obviously was the spinal cord injury, and that we didn't know how bad it was till a couple months later, when I ended up going paralyzed, and praise God they were able to reverse that through surgery. A lot of the spinal cord injury results from that. They reversed it so I was able to get up and move and walk, but we didn't really understand the full effects that it would place on my body or my autonomic nervous system and things like that. Another diagnosis was the traumatic brain injury, concussion, from hitting my head on the headrest in the car. And it was one of those that it took well into December before we figured out what was happening. I was having a lot of mental fatigue. I was having a hard time focusing, double vision, other things that we just couldn't figure out what it was. A lot of times brain injuries won't show up on a typical MRI, and it took going to a special neuro-ophthalmologist. I have all these big words I get to share with you. To be able to really see what was going on, and then meeting with spinal cord and brain specialists, and they were able to actually tell me what was happening. So with the brain injury, it affected my speed of processing. So in that first video, you could hear me talking kind of slower. It was hard to focus and form words. Cognitive endurance, how long I can focus on things. A lot of sensory overload. There was a time where I couldn't handle any TV, phones, lights, sounds, noises, too many people talking, so many things, and I still struggle with some of that, but I'm getting better at it, and especially since I've been able to go to rehab. One of the other things that really has made a huge impact was a diagnosis for having POTS, which is postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome. And essentially what happened was, the way the doctors explained to me is my heart muscle actually shrunk a couple of sizes, which I'm not a Grinch, but I know what you're all thinking. And so that basically made me extremely decommissioned. Anytime I would move, my heart rates would just skyrocket. My blood circulation wasn't working properly, so I wasn't getting blood flow to all my body and my brain. It was hard to communicate, and I just felt sick. And the only way I could explain to people is like, I just feel ill. I just feel so sick. Part of that was the brain, part of it was the spinal cord still healing, part of it was POTS going on. I remember trying to explain this to doctors and nurses and physical therapists, and it's such a rare thing, but I remember them looking at me and just like, it's in your head. And I remember thinking, okay, well, if it's just me, I'll just get up and deal with it. That's what I do. And then I was getting worse and worse, and didn't realize that the therapies I was doing were counterintuitive to what my body really needed at that time. So that was a huge thing. We found out in January that was happening. In December, I was also diagnosed with an SVT, which is a really high heart rate. It's another rhythm, And I didn't know that I'd had it my whole life, but after the injury, a lot of symptoms manifested. So I would get really sick, my heart rate would shoot up to 160, 170, and then it was going higher into the 200s, 250. I would go white all over and go into these tremors. I couldn't talk. It was just a nightmare. And so they went in and did an ablation where they froze an extra pathway in my heart. And if you remember, I had to go back because I still had some SVT, so apparently I have multiple ones. But I've seen a calm down of that. I didn't realize there were a lot of things that a lot of stimulus, things like chia seeds, and things I didn't know that were actually making my heart rate just shoot up. And so that was a blessing to figure that out. And we also didn't know at that time that I was allergic to all beta blockers and channel blockers and all these heart medications they were trying to help me take. I was getting worse, not better. Aspirin, just a whole slew of things. And I remember just Chad asking him to ask everyone to pray because we just didn't know what was going on. And finding those answers really started to make a big difference for me in my healing process. Another big thing that I had as a side effect is kind of a side effect of everything, brain, spine. It's called autonomic dysreflexia, and mine is a little bit different. Normally, when you have some type of pain or something in your body, your blood pressure will skyrocket and your heart will be low. Because of some of the other things, both of them just go up. And so little things, getting too hot, my body not regulating temperatures, being sick, having infections I didn't know I had, problems with my digestive tract, things that would trigger it. That is getting better, but there was a time where it was going off every day, multiple times a day. And just understanding all these things and making some progress. You've heard my kids hollering, yay, they're in the other room. One of the biggest things for me was knowing that I wasn't crazy. I mean, I'm crazy, but it wasn't just all in my head, where some people told me it was. And so many times we have these things going on in our body and people don't have the answer. A lot of times they'll just say, you have anxiety. And they go, anyone would have anxiety with what you've been through. And I thought, well, yeah, I feel a little stressed out, but there's something wrong. And I knew there was something wrong. And I had to fight sometimes to get the answers, and I kept having to go back, and God bless my husband and family for being there with me and taking me to the doctor sometimes at 3 a.m. until we found these answers. And so important to listen to your body. And so many times my body, I didn't respond the way other people's would. I couldn't handle the heart medicines. I couldn't do the treatments other people could. I had unique and rare things happen. But understanding that things were really going on in my body, and understanding a lot of times brain injuries or POTS or things like that are misdiagnosed, or they go undiagnosed for so long. And but I am just so grateful to know what's going on, and grateful that God got me finally in front of the right people to get the right help. So in March, we were finally able to get me into a neuro rehab program at a place called CNS, Center for Neuro Skills, and it has just been amazing. It's been hard. It's been a lot of work, but it's been the right work, and I've had just amazing therapists and doctors and people who have been so patient with me. When I first went in there, I was back in my wheelchair. I could barely walk or get up or even sit through a session. I was having to leave early all the time. Car rides made me so sick. And bit by bit, it's like, I always refer to it like building a castle. So every little brick, at first, it just feels like this little thing. Like, what's that going to do? And then you keep adding and you keep building, and before you know it, you've built your castle. And we focused a lot on my heart because I was so decommissioned I couldn't do anything else. And the POTS program, there's a doctor named Dr. Levine, and he created a rehabilitation program for POTS. And they tell you in the beginning, they're like, it's hard, but if you stick to it, we're going to ask you to do things that your heart can do. It just hasn't done in a while, or needs to be able to learn how to do it. And so the first couple of months were hard, and there were many days where sometimes I felt worse. And then all of a sudden there was a turnaround about a month ago where I just woke up. I was like, I just feel better. And it wasn't like magical, everything was all washed away, but I really started to see improvement. You can hear the way I talk. I started being able to get up and walk a lot more. Now we take family walks in the evening, and I was able to start staying for all my sessions. I'm now up to 6 days a week of rehab. I do some there, some at home, depending on the days. I am religious with it, and I know it's been a huge difference. So side note, if any of my friends or family or your loved ones have this, it has just been such a huge blessing. And I went from wheelchair to up and walking again. And so you can text me later if you need details for that. But it's been just amazing to finally see some progress there. For so long I didn't really feel that. And I've got probably another good 6 months of rehab. It's not perfect. There's a lot of days where I kind of joke and I call it the Melanie, because it's like this and then it goes up. But the point is, it's going up now, and the downs aren't quite so down and quite so long, and it's moving in the right direction. And having that hope again and realizing that I'm on the right path has just made a huge difference. Having the right therapy and the right people. One of the big things is that from the beginning, so many times there were moments where I couldn't even talk. I couldn't walk. I couldn't open my eyes. I just felt like I was dying. It was just horrible. And then, but for whatever reason, I've been able to sing and write songs and just find music as a rehabilitation for my soul, for my brain. And when I got to rehab, all the music I had been doing had helped to heal. They said speaking and singing are different parts of your brain. So there were times I would have slurred and slow speech, but then I would hum and I could sing through what I needed to say. And it just has been such a gift. I'm used to being a little bit more active, and it helped me to keep my mind moving and to stay busy, stay active. And it's been like my journal. A lot of times I haven't just sit and wrote everything out, but I've written it in music, and I hope to be able to share some of those with you. I am nervous because they're raw and they're just my soul out there, but I want to share these things I've learned, and I hope that they help you or someone and just make you feel good, and good music. And I just want to be able to share those things with you. So I'm going to wrap this up. I know it's getting long. So much to say. And I saved this for last because want to say thank you. I couldn't face this without you. All the times when people would send me a message or respond on Facebook and they say, "We're praying, Mel, and we got you," or they'd send a post out and they would say, "I need all of you to have positive energy and hope and love for my friend Mel." And I would read those, or when I couldn't read them, Chad would read them to me, and then I knew I could keep fighting. All the little phone calls of people just showing up at my door, showing up at rehab. There were times where I thought it's too much. It's too much for one person, too much for me to bear. And I thought, God, why? And then he'd send me his angels, and you are my angels. You've been there for me. And I just can't thank you enough. Can't tell you how much I love you all, how much you mean to me, and I can't wait to see you. And for all my booty shaking friends, get out there and dance, and whether you feel like you're a dancer or not, I want you all there and just shaking it with me. And I just love you guys so much, so thank you. Thanks for staying with me. Thank you for your encouragement. It helps so much. And I used to think I'm this strong and independent woman. I can do it. I don't want to burden my friends. I don't want to be a pain. And then this whole thing has taught me that we're not meant to do it alone. We're meant to hold each other's hand and rise up and do incredible things. I would have never imagined going through this and coming out on top. And I'm not there yet, but I will be. And so for whatever you face in your life, I hope to be there for you. And I hope that those around you, that you'll let them lift you up. I love you guys so much, so much. And just God bless you. Have an amazing day and keep doing amazing things. And I will see you soon. Love you.